Hey everyone, welcome to the channel and another review. I just got back from seeing Uncharted at the theater, so let's talk about it. As usual, to begin the review, I'm just going to read a brief synopsis to give some context. So this movie, street smart Nathan Drake is recruited by seasoned treasure hunter Victor Sully Sullivan to recover a fortune amassed by Ferdinand Magellan and lost 500 years ago by the House of Moncada. And just to give a little bit of background about, my anticipation going into this movie, I'm familiar with the games. I haven't actually played any of the games. They are on my backlog and ones that I do want to play, but there are many games on that list. So unfortunately, haven't gotten around to playing them. But from what I hear, they're good games and there's a lot of, story to them. So I was interested to see what a movie might look like that gets adapted from them. And that, in addition to seeing that they had Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg as the stars of the movie, I enjoy both of them as actors. For the most part, I at least have a somewhat enjoyable of a time seeing the movies they're in, if not a very good time. And so yeah, with that, I was pretty excited for the movie. I'd seen the trailers they've released, and those those still had me interested. It wasn't, but it was to the point where I was, hoping it wouldn't be a bad movie, as sometimes video game adapted movies are. But I was hopeful that it would be, a fun ride, but not, expecting any Oscar caliber movie. So that's kind of where I was at going into the film. And yeah, let's get into what I thought of it. So we'll start off just talking about what I liked. And the main thing that I liked about the film are just the main characters, especially Tom Holland. He's very charismatic and just fun to watch on screen. He pulls a lot of energy over from, it feels a lot like Spider-Man and Peter Parker. And I was a little worried, especially as the film started, that I wouldn't be able to kind of get that image out of my head, that it would just feel like Peter Parker playing out a different storyline. But I think by the end that had kind of gone away. It still feels like Peter Parker. I mean, it's still Tom Holland playing an American actor using pretty much the same accent, but there are definitely differences in the character between Nathan Drake and Peter Parker. And by the end, yeah, I was seeing Nathan Drake on screen, not Peter Parker. So I was glad that that went away by the end of the film. And kind of on that note, like being used to seeing Tom Holland playing Spider-Man and usually dealing out all the punches, it was kind of refreshing to see him in this movie. While he's still holding his own, but he certainly meets his match in some of the fights and takes a few punches. So it was nice to see him, kind of just playing a normal human being again. So yeah, Tom Holland was fun to watch. The one thing that I thought I didn't like necessarily was how similar the Nathan Drake character and the Sully character feel. I think given that Mark Wahlberg and Tom Holland are just so charismatic, they give off a lot of similar vibes from their characters. And yeah, as the movie was going on, I didn't know how much I cared for that, but by the end, I actually enjoyed that aspect of it. While they are very similar, they are at their cores very different people, and I think that their similarities actually kind of draw out their differences, or what you're left with to see the difference is that at the end of the day, Nathan Drake is for the most part a good guy, while Sully is somebody who is very self-interested and not trusting of anybody. And that's a lot of what the movie focuses on. So I think having them be very similar otherwise actually draws out those differences, and I thought worked in the end. Some of the other things that I liked about the movie are just kind of wrapped up in sort of the production design. So I like the scope of the movie. It spans across the globe, so it was great to see different locations from New York to Barcelona and the Philippines. So it was, yeah, it's very grand in scope, and I thought that just added a bit of fun to the movie. I also enjoyed the music. I thought it was a good soundtrack that was fairly catchy, or at least upbeat, and fit with the action, and one that I actually noticed throughout. So definitely looking forward to listening to that one on its own. And then overall, I thought the humor throughout the film worked. It had me, laughing. I saw it with a couple other people. which I think helped. If you're a lot of times I'll go or a lot of times I'll go see a movie just by myself, and there's other people there, so you've got that experience. But yeah, this one definitely had some shared laughs with the other people I was seeing it with, and that was pretty much throughout the entire film that it kept it up. And then lastly, I thought the pacing was pretty good. It dipped just like a little bit in the middle, I think, as it transitioned between acts, but for the most part, I thought it was, yeah, paced well together. All right, so that kind of sums up the that I liked about the film. There are a few things that I have in the mixed category, or things I didn't care for as much. The first one being how they opened the film. I thought the opening scene was an interesting choice. I don't know how well it fit. I don't necessarily know they would maybe do it differently, but it's a scene that we've seen in the trailer, and um, it takes place actually kind of towards the end of the story, but then they jump back and start from the beginning again. And I thought it was, yeah, on some level, it was a good way to get you into the film, but I feel like that scene would have played better if they had just played it out when it actually plays out in the story, which isn't right at the beginning. I also didn't really care for the villain all that much. It's not to say that he's a bad villain. He's just pretty standard, and yeah. So I would just have that in the mixed category there. It's not. I don't think it's bad, but not not pulling up the film by any means. And then another weird thing, I don't know why movies do this. They show part of the credit scene in the trailer. I think Snake Eyes did that as well last year, and it's just kind of weird that movies do that. I'm not sure why, but I mean it's not the biggest deal, but I don't know, just don't put that in the trailer or put it in the main part of the movie. I don't know, it's kind of weird that they do that. And then I thought the action was kind of a mixed bag. There were definitely, I thought, like, the scale of the action, some of like the set pieces and stuff were really cool. They were epic, and it felt, like a fun action movie for that. But then you had a lot of the hand-to-hand action. In some cases, was just a lot of quick edits, like quick cuts edited together, and it makes it feel kind of actiony, but in my opinion, I don't really care for that sort of action. I prefer the longer takes when we can see that or see what's going on. I think it just elevates the action. So the more quick takes you have, I think it just brings down the action. So kind of some pros and cons to the action. And then the last thing I thought was the mystery, or like the treasure hunting was just okay. It seemed pretty straightforward, but the big thing that I kind of knock it for is the characters are kind of deciphering clues and putting things together, but anytime we're given a clue, for the most part, the clues are given and immediately answered, or they're spoken of and referenced, but then immediately answered. So we, the audience, don't get a chance to, work our brains ourselves and try to figure out the puzzles before the characters do. So that was one thing I thought could have been done better. I think it makes for a more enjoyable experience if you can actually engage with the movie and try to put yourself in the character's shoes, but they're always beating you to the punch, so you can't really do that here. But so yeah, just a small mixed bag, nothing terrible, just mostly in the mixed category. But yeah, overall I thought the movie was fun. It felt kind of like a cross between National Treasure and Pirates of the Caribbean, kind of the absurdity of especially the later Pirates of the Caribbean movies. Maybe not quite as over the top as some of them, but definitely pushing that edge. Or maybe some of the absurdity of the later Fast and the Furious movies. But I mean, at the end of the day, those are fun. It's not that I want to see every movie I don't want to see every movie do that and go there, but the ones that do, I think, are usually fun. And in this case, it was. I had an enjoyable time throughout the movie. I think this isn't, it's not going to be an Oscar caliber movie, but it's one that I would say is in the good category of movies, especially, given that it's an action movie. And, if you're just looking to have a fun time at the theater and eat some popcorn, it's one that I'd recommend. So that does it for my review for Uncharted. If you've been able to see the film, Let me know what you thought down in the comments below. I'd love to, yeah, to hear, did you like it? You know, especially what are the things that you did like, or if you didn't like it, you know, what kind of turned you off from the movie. So I'd love to, yeah, love to hear your thoughts down below. Otherwise, if you've enjoyed this review, be sure to smash the like button and subscribe so you don't miss my next review. All right, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.